Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about Prince Charles III's coronation ceremony. Not very important, but there are a lot of words you can learn. And besides that, today you're going to practice on exam topic based questions. One, error location, the other, para jumble. Let us start the session with editorial vocabulary. The first word, embrace, this is an important word. Part of speech verb. Embrace means to accept something enthusiastically. Usually it goes with a particular policy, a particular thing, a change, or a new product, a new policy. People accept with a lot of enthusiasm. Then we use the word embrace. They have embraced a new policy. They have embraced the new responsibility. These are the usual combinations. Second word, traditions, a very common word, part of speech noun, tradition singular, traditions plural. A belief, principle, or way of acting that people in a particular society or group have continued to follow for a long time. Generally, the combinations traditional culture, traditional society, and traditional country, traditional group. These are the combinations. But here you have to recollect words like if someone follows the traditions strictly, then we use conservative or orthodox. Orthodox means very traditional, and conservative has a little negative connotation. It means something like with a closed mind. And here we have to recollect words like Occidental and Oriental. If you take Western culture, it is materialistic, and we use the term Occidental. If you take the Eastern culture, it is spiritualistic. We use the word Oriental. Oriental people usually follow traditions. So these words you have to recollect. The next word, coronation. This editorial is all about the coronation. So an important word, the key word, part of speech noun, a ceremony at which a person is made king or queen. It's all about King Charles, Prince Charles becoming the king, coronation ceremony. The word lavish goes with spending money, one meaning, and lavish part of speech adjective, large in quantity and expensive or impressive. But generally we say he spends money lavishly. And you have to recollect words like extravagantly, lavish, extravagant, spendthrift. These are the words you have to recollect. And here it also goes with large in quantity and expensive or impressive with the ceremony. And the next word is also an important word, culmination. Culminate, verb, culmination, noun. The point at which an event or series of events ends, having developed until it reaches this point. Reaching the final stage, we use the word culmination. Rain, you got to be a little careful. R-E-I-G and one word, R-E-I-N. That also we are going to come across. And G and rain, G is silent. Part of speech, noun. And it could be a verb as well. The period of time when a king or queen rules a country. Or now modern English, you can say the time when a particular party rules a country. We also use the word regime. Deference, an important word, and you got to be careful with spelling. And here it is a part of speech is a noun, a respect and politeness towards someone or something. Samaritan usually takes the word good, a good Samaritan, an important word. Someone who gives a help to people who need it. Someone is in need of help and the other person is ready to give a helping hand. Then we use a term, good Samaritan. Prior, an important word because when we go to the analysis, I will tell why it is important. It is important grammar point of view too. Part of speech adjective, it's a comparative adjective existing or happening before something else or before a particular time. Usually prior, it goes with something before. Passionate is a word that goes with everyday English. Passionate person, passionate work. He is passionate about something. And part of speech adjective, passionate worker, having very strong feelings or emotions. But generally, passionate goes with someone who is very fond of something. Then he does the work passionately. Sustainable has got many meanings. One meaning to hold something for a long time. Another meaning, now it is in the limelight, it's a buzzword. We talk about environment a lot, and this goes with environment, sustainable goals, sustainable practices. sustainable lifestyle, causing or made in a way that causes little or no damage to the environment. When we use the resources environment point of view, keeping in mind the future generations, then it is known as a sustainable. So an important word. A rift goes with everyday English, part of speech noun. There is a rift, there was a rift. It also goes with geography. A serious disagreement that separates two people who have been friends and stops their friendship continuing. Some sort of gap, you can say, some sort of, you can also say a fight or disagreement. Renounce, we have got many a time, part of speech verb, to say formally or publicly that you no longer own, support, believe in, or have a connection with something. Usually it goes with authority, wealth, property. Renounce the wealth, renounce the title. Resentment, an important word, part of speech, noun. A feeling of anger because you have been forced to accept something that you don't like. You don't like something, but you are forced to accept. Then you accept it with a lot of resentment. That means a sort of anger you have. As I said, REIGN, one word, REIN, rain. Rain's plural form noun, but here it is a verb. To control, to restrain, to curb. Reins as a noun, it goes with horses. That means to hold, if you want to control the horse, you have to use the leather belts. They are known as reins. Tenure, part of speech noun, the period of time when someone holds a job, especially an official position. So this is also an important word. Mantle, an important word, part of speech noun, the responsibilities of an important position or job. Imagine someone is in a good position. That person has that person demands some certain responsibilities, and that is known as mantle. Hoary, part of speech adjective, very old and familiar, and therefore not interesting or funny. Usually, this goes with traditions. So, these are the words from today's editorial. Now, let us go to the editorial analysis. I will do this analysis purely from proficiency point of view, not from the background point of view, or I will touch the analysis as aspect as well, but the focus is going to be more on English proficiency, exam point of view. New king, new challenges. The road ahead for King Charles III. So it talks about the at the time on the eve of coronation ceremony, new king, new challenges, obviously, and the road ahead means a future, an important expression you have to remember. The road ahead for King Charles III. So what are the challenges he's going to face? Charles III must embrace whatever you see in red, the words go with vocabulary, and whatever you see in green related to grammar, important from the exam point of view. That's very good. Who is this? Subra Jyotsna. Congratulations. That's very good. Have a bright future. So I'll continue with the analysis. My pleasure. Charles III must embrace. There's one important word, must. Must is a helping verb, and it has two functions. One, it is used to express an obligation imposed by the speaker. You can also say it is used to express a personal obligation. The second function, it is used to convey the idea that something is compulsory. Must embrace something compulsory. Embrace means to accept something with a lot of enthusiasm. Embrace what modern values while carrying on with royal traditions. So there's a change. Based on that change, the editor opines Charles III must embrace modern values because society has changed a lot. At the same time, carrying on with royal traditions. He should not give up royal traditions. He has to continue with royal traditions. At the same time, he has to embrace modern values or modern ethics. So the background information, now you come across the background information or the event of coronation. In the first coronation in the country in 70 years, there's an important word here. The editorial is all about that. Coronation means a ceremony at which a person is made king or queen. So Prince Charles III has been made king. That event is known as coronation. In the first coronation, the first, here the first you have to remember because in some exams they have given before ordinal numbers we have to use the definite article the. In the first coronation in the country in 70 years, a lavish ceremony. When you look at the combination, you should be able to make out it is an adjective. Ceremony is a noun, lavish adjective. Means what? Something large in quantity and expensive or impressive. But usually the word goes with the way you spend money. Imagine someone spends money without thinking and a lot of money. Then we say spend money lavishly. We also use the word extravagantly. And the person is called spendthrift. So lavish ceremony comprising whatever is in green important, I have already told. Comprising of, not correct. Consist of is correct. Comprising does not take the preposition of. That you have to recollect. Comprising 2,300 guests, including more than 100 heads of state, Charles III has been crowned. Here it is in green, that means grammar point of view. It is in present perfect passive voice. Has been crowned King of the United Kingdom. The event, coronation event, marked the culmination of plans. Culmination, an important word. To reach the peak, the point at which an event or series of events ends, having developed until it reaches this point. It is like reaching the final stage. Culmination of plans that were set in motion last September upon the passing of King Charles' mother, Queen Elizabeth II. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, that time itself they started the plans regarding this event, coronation event, and this particular event, which has happened recently, is a culmination of those plans. During the 7 decades of a reign, an important word, a reign means a period of time when a king or queen rules a country. But modern English, it also goes with a particular party, reign the country. Modern English, this goes with the traditional English or traditional setup, but it means to rule or the period of that particular rule. During the 7 decades of her reign, emerging post colonial nations grew in self confidence and some challenged the idea of the Commonwealth. While at home, the traditional public deference to the monarchy faded, requiring the members of the royal family to reposition themselves as good Samaritans working towards the greater good of British society. A very lengthy sentence. From here, it is like a paragraph. But what does it convey? If you take the 7 decades of Queen's reign, a lot of changes took place. One goes with Commonwealth countries, and they have challenged the idea of this Commonwealth, where the traditional head is the king or the queen. And at home means in the UK, the traditional public deference, an important word. It means respect. Respect to the monarchy faded. In the past, they would give a lot of respect. Now, the respect is not to be seen. So, these changes required something, demanded something. Based on these changes, the members of the royal family to reposition themselves. They had to change the orientation, they had to reposition themselves as what? More than controlling, more than ruling, as good Samaritans, an important word. Samaritan means someone who gives help to people who need it, working towards a greater good of British society. King Charles, now it is all about King Charles in his prior avatar. Avatar, Indian origin, in my opinion. Prior means existing or happening before something else or before a particular time. As a Prince of Wales, initially he was Prince of Wales, now he has become the King of the United Kingdom through the coronation, was quick to embrace the successive waves of change. So the previous sentence talks about the changes in the 77 decades, and he was ready to embrace the successive waves of change. An important word, embrace, to accept, particularly when it came to climate change and the environment. So he was ready to change, but the change he focused on related to climate change and the environment. That is something highly appreciable. And whatever you see in green, important from grammar point of view and also exam point of view. Generally, we use this expression in present when it comes to, but here it is in past. So remember this expression when it comes to something. As a passionate supporter, then you should be able to make out supporter is a noun, passionate adjective. Passionate means what? Having very strong feelings or emotions, some sort of attachment of sustainable ecosystems. There's an important word, a buzzword right now in the limelight. It has been in the limelight for many decades, but it is going to be in the limelight for another 3 or 4 decades. Sustainable in this context means to use the resources in a wise manner and also to use the resources in such a way that The future generations will also have access to those resources, sustainable ecosystems, and architecture. He has advocated for. We all know the word advocate, noun. Advocate can also be a verb. But here it does not go with the typical meaning. Advocate means to support, to promote. He has advocated for organically maintained parks, one thing, and natural reserves in the UK. So he's passionate about the environmental sustainable goals. At the same time, he advocated for. That means he promoted or he is still for organically maintained parks and natural reserves in the UK under the aegis of the Prince's Trust. Here is an important word. I should have brought it in red. Aegis means the promotion, the support, the backing, and also the sponsorship. All these words you can think of under the aegis of the Prince Trust, which operates under Royal Charter to help disadvantaged youth in the UK. More than a million young people had benefited by 2020. So this sentence is about other dimensions. It talks about under based on the support, based on the patronage of Prince's Trust, a lot of youngsters, how many? More than a million young people had benefited by 2020. While the new king has made a name for himself in the climate and social welfare spaces. So, one sentence talks about his role when it comes to climate and environment, the other sentence talks about his contribution towards social welfare. Keeping those two dimensions in mind, while the new king has made a name for himself in the climate, one thing, and social welfare, another thing, spaces, he will have to work. Those things, one dimension on the one hand. On the other hand, it talks about the future. He will have to work. This is an important expression. A lot of students don't know what exactly it means, which tense. It is not about a particular tense. Here there are two helping verbs. Have to, one helping verb. Will, another helping verb. First, you have to know the meaning of have to. It means it is used to express an obligation imposed by an external authority or a situation. And will have to refers to future. He will have to work hard to tackle rifts within the royal family. An important word in the sense, everyday English point of view. Some sort of disagreement, serious disagreement between the two brothers or two sisters within the royal family. Here it talks about the royal family potentially deal with an independence movement in Scotland. So all these talk about the challenges he's going to face, and he has to tackle very carefully. One is rift within the royal family. The other one, if you take the United Kingdom, four units came together and they formed the United Kingdom of Great Britain. What are the four units? One is England, the other one is Scotland, the third one is Wales, and the fourth one is the Northern Ireland. Now, Northern Ireland is also part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Now, of late, Scotland people they started asking for independence. So, potentially deal with an independence movement in Scotland, the second challenge, and face up to the long standing challenge of Commonwealth nations. The third problem, Commonwealth nations, they started questioning the loyalty towards the king or queen. Nations that no longer wish to have the UK monarch as a head of the state. If you take the Commonwealth countries, the head of the state is the UK monarch, either the king or the queen. Now, some Commonwealth countries they started questioning. Now, to elaborate those ideas, within the Windsor clan, King Charles's younger son Prince Harry has renounced his royal trappings and moved to California, in the US, with his American wife Meghan Markle, and his recent novel Spare. Does not mince words. This is an important expression. Don't mince words means say something clearly. In spelling out, this is also important from the exam point of view in the sense, usually people say, please spell out in detail. That's a common error. Spell out means to say something in detail. So you should not say spell out in detail. That is redundancy. Spelling out means to tell something in detail. Spelling out deep seated resentment. As I said, this is an important word. A feeling of anger. Why? Because you have to accept something you don't like. That he claims they felt while at the palace. The king will have to either make peace with the new arrangement forced by Prince Harry or build bridges with his second son, patching up. In Scotland, the first dimension within the royal family, rifts. Second problem, Scotland. In Scotland, Hamza Yosuf has taken present perfect active voice. The reins of the Scottish National Party. Reins, an important word. As a noun, it means typically it goes with horses. When a person wants to control a horse, he has to use a leather straps. Those leather straps are known as reins. Rein as a verb means to control or to restrain or to curb of the Scottish National Party after the long tenure of Nicola Sturgeon. Tenure means a period a particular party or king or queen rule. That period is called tenure. While the party has numerous internal issues, the party has, here it is in present, it talks about the possessive nature, has what? Numerous internal issues to resolve, to sort out. There is a distinct possibility of another independence referendum. A referendum means they take a particular issue, they go to the public, all the people in the country, and they have to say yes or no. And based on the majority, the opinion, they take the decision, and that is known as referendum, which would pose sharp challenges to the UK's economy and society, particularly in a post Brexit context. So, if at all they get independence, obviously it makes an impact, and they should be prepared to face that impact. King Charles would also have to engage with Commonwealth nations such as Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Bahamas, Belize, Grenada, Jamaica, and St. Kitts and Nevis, nations that have signaled their intention to appoint their own heads of state. They don't want to have the king or queen as the head of the state, and they want to have their own heads of state. To tackle and effectively deal with these challenges, all this talk about the challenges, what is he supposed to do? King Charles III will have to continue to embrace modern values, the main idea of the editorial being reiterated, embrace modern values while carrying the mantle of hoary royal traditions. Mantle means the responsibilities. Hoary royal traditions. Very old and familiar and therefore not interesting or funny. In this context, not interesting. So that's all about today's editorial. Now let us go to comprehension based questions based on today's editorial. At the outset, what is this editorial? I strongly recommend write in brief in your own sentences, at least one sentence. What is this about? And slowly you can make it two or three. That will help in the long run when it comes to descriptive English. And you have to write one essay and you have to. Have you joined a little late? The event marked the culmination of what? This event of coronation marked the culmination of something. So, what is that? As a passionate supporter of sustainable ecosystems and architecture, what has he advocated? Besides being a passionate supporter of sustainable ecosystems and architecture, King Charles III has advocated for something. What is that? What are the nations that have signaled their intention to appoint their own heads of state? All these Commonwealth countries, they have a king or queen as a head of the state. Now, some nations they have expressed or signaled their intention to appoint their own heads of state, and you have to list out. The editorial has listed out a few nations, and what are the nations? You have to list out those nations. King Charles III will have to continue to embrace what? Will have to continue. Keywords. Embrace what? So this is again based on keywords. You will be able to answer. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. And today I have brought, because after a gap of so many months, not days, months, I have brought only two exercises, but I have brought one important word profile, also important confusing verbs. Let us start with practice questions, exam topic, error location. Read the sentence and try to spot the error. Violence in Manipur could have been avoided had the government stayed above the fray. You have to read the sentence meticulously. Only then you will be able to embrace. At the outset, I give the meaning to accept something with a lot of enthusiasm. Looks like you have joined a little late. So please try to spot the error. I will give you a few seconds, about 30 seconds. You should be able to. Once a student responds, then I'll go to the next question. So far, no one has responded. Violence in Manipur could have been avoided had the government stayed above the fray. No one has responded, so I would like to give the answer. Answer is no error. There is no error whatsoever. But how do you decide what is a clue? Here we have had the government stayed. This is past perfect in interrogative form. But then you have to become alert and recollect conditionals, past conditional. Any conditional has two clauses, one if clause, the other one main clause. Here, if clause, past conditional, we use a past perfect tense. If the government had stayed, that is one pattern. But there's another pattern where we drop the word if, then we have to use past perfect in the interrogative form. So here, had the government stayed, nothing wrong. Then the main clause usually we use would plus have plus verb past participle form. But sometimes in place of would we can use could. We can also use a might. And here it is in have been avoided. Present that have been in passive voice. So could have been avoided, no problem whatsoever. Violence in Manipur could have been avoided had the government stayed above the fray. Same question, same sentence, you can also say violence in Manipur could have been avoided if the government had stayed above the fray. Either way, it is right. But in this sentence, no error. Not easy if you're not good at English grammar. Please go to question number 2. Good governance that focuses on accommodation and dialogue helps to stem the possibilities of a deterioration of such conditions into violence. Where is the error? No, no one has got question number 1 right. Answer is the fifth option. No error. Do respect the fifth option. Question number 2, no one has responded. So I would like to give the answer. No. Yes. Who is this? Jyotsna has got it right. Very good. Whenever you come across verbs like one, help, the other one, make, and the exam point of view, these two are important. The third one, get. Get is not that important. But help, make, these are known as causative verbs. Known as what? Causative verbs. Causative verbs are important from the exam point of view, and there is an important rule. What is that rule? Causative verbs, after causative verbs, you should not use a preposition to. If you use them in active voice. If you use in passive voice, you can use, but here it is in active voice. Helps a stem. That is right. To should not be used. And I will give one more example. He made us wait for a long time. He made us to wait wrong. He made us wait. But if you change it to passive voice, we were made to wait for a long time. Passive voice you can use to. Active voice, causative verbs you cannot use to. So here this question is about causative verbs. Two causative verbs you have to remember. Yes, there are so many: let, get, make, help. But exam point of view, it is always two verbs are very important. You can't afford to forget. One is help, the other one is make. Now let us go to question number 3. I'm glad one student could get it right. Evictions ostensible done for forest protection and in the name of removing outsiders tend to cause passions to rile up among people dependent upon the hills for a livelihood. This is not that difficult if you read meticulously. You got to read meticulously. Exactly. The helping verb, the causative verb, help and also make, they don't take the preposition to. No one has responded. Ah, very good. Who is this? Manoj. I appreciate. You don't have to go beyond the first part. Evictions done. Then you ask the question how. When you ask the question how have they been done or how did they do, then your answer is going to be an adverb. And to be very specific or precise, adverb of manner because it answers the question how. Based on that, here we cannot say ostensible. We have to use the adverb form ostensibly. So, what is the adverb form ostensibly? Very good. I appreciate. Suresh also has got it right. And Hema. Manoj, wonderful. I appreciate. And after that, you don't have to read the sentence. You can save your time. A few seconds also. Adverb plus verb. Very good, Suresh. That's right. Question number 4. It has lain the blame squarely on the ever increasing number of failing engines supplied by Pratt and Whitney. So this is also an easy one. Let us see how you're going to respond. It has lain the blame squarely on the ever increasing number of failing engines supplied by Pratt and Whitney. I think there's a lag more than 20 seconds. Let us go to very good. Who is this? Jyotsna again, Manoj again. Here it is not lain. We have to use a verb laid. It has laid the blame. Lay the blame on someone means to make someone responsible. And I'm going to, the last slide deals with confusing verbs. There are two verbs which come under confusing verbs. One is lie, lay, lain, and also the other one lay, laid, laid. We are going to spend some time. Let us go to the last question. The onus is on the center to find long-term policy solutions if it want India's struggling airlines to reach cruising altitude. Means positive, something positive. Where is the error? Onus means responsibility, an important word. The onus is on the center to find long-term policy solutions if it want India's struggling airlines to reach cruising altitude. No one has responded. Yes, Sivaswamy Rajashekharan. Very good. Here, the onus is on the center. Center, it is a subject, third person singular, to find long-term policy solutions. Accordingly, here we have used a pronoun third person singular. It, and the clause is in present, and it is in affirmative form. Then you have to recollect the rule. What is the rule? If the subject is third person singular, sentence is in present tense affirmative form, we should add s or es to the verb. If it want is not correct. If it wants India's struggling airlines. So what is this about? Subject verb, an important dimension. Subject verb agreement. Good. Now let us go to parajumble, an important parajumble. It's all about something that has been in the limelight, and it will be in the limelight perhaps 5 years minimum. It is going to make a tremendous impact. A lot of companies are getting wiped out because of this. So read carefully, try to get the correct order, not that difficult. Parajumble, you have 6 sentences. Take the elimination approach. The latest example, the latest. So definite article cannot be the first one. It's unveiling. Pronoun cannot be the first one. On Wall Street, and there's no subject here, cannot be the first one. Making it pronoun cannot be the first one. Hold E, created by a startup called OpenAI, Drew. But what created, there is no subject. So what is the first one here? E is the first one. Then you ask, what is this about? It is about Chat GPT. Every so often, a technology captures the world's imagination. Opening sentence, interesting statement. Every so often, standard expression, remember that also. Nothing wrong with that. Every so often, a technology capture the world's imagination. Another important expression you have to remember. So the writers usually they present a statement and they try to justify, substantiate by giving an example. Based on that, what is the second one? Should not be that difficult. Every so often, a technology captures the world's imagination. A statement. Then you have to look for a sentence that provides an example. The latest example, judging by the chatter in Silicon Valley. So obviously the second one is A. What is the example? The latest example to justify or substantiate the statement. Every so often, a technology captures the world's imagination. The latest example, judging by the chatter in Silicon Valley, comma, on Wall Street, in corner offices, newsrooms, and classrooms around the world, is ChatGPT. So here there's a comma punctuation mark. Based on that, it is not complete. And what is the third one? C. Different places, chatter where in Silicon Valley, on Wall Street, in corner offices, newsrooms, and classrooms around the world is ChatGPT. EAC one group. Next, what? So again, why is it the it has captured? How can we say it has captured the world's imagination? There should be again some sort of justification providing evidence. In 5 days after its unveiling in November, the artificial intelligent chatbot, so it should be B. Again, there is a punctuation mark. Created by a startup called OpenAI, drew 1 million users, making it one of the fastest consumer product launches in history. So here, BFD One Group. In 5 days, its unveiling in November, the artificially intelligent chatbot created by a startup called OpenAI drew 1 million users, making it one of the fastest consumer product launches in history. So these three one group. Who has got EAC BFD? Wonderful. Rajeshri one and Manoj also, I suppose. I appreciate all those students. An interesting one you got to remember. You may get as a passage in future and also Jumble or Cloze Test. And they may ask as a topic in group discussion or interview down the line a few months. Word of the day, ostensible. Ostensible part of speech adjective. It means describe something that seems to be true or is officially stated to be true, but about which you or other people have doubts. Something that seems true but may not be true. It has a negative connotation and it's a formal word. Example, the ostensible purpose of these meetings was to gather information on financial strategies. Actually, it looks like something else, but intention to gather information on financial strategies. Ostensibly, adverb. Example, a bachelor farmer began to call ostensibly to talk to her father, but really to see her. Apparently to talk to her father, but real intention to see someone else. Ostensibility, noun. What are the synonyms of this word? Apparent, seeming, supposed, alleged. Antonyms, real, genuine. And I said I would spend, there's one slide related to confusing verbs. These are very important. They have given many a time in different competitive exams. And after learning, also not easy to handle. Based on contextual awareness, you will be able to handle. Lie can be a noun, lie can be a regular verb, lie can be an irregular verb. As a noun, it is not that important. As a regular verb, it is not that important. But as an irregular verb, very important. Lie, lay, lame. To be in or move into a horizontal position on a surface. Lie down. But it has another meaning, to be in a particular state for a long time. Lie, lay, lane. What is the past form of lie, lay? But we have another, the second meaning, lie, lay, lane, to exist, to be in a particular state for a long time. The hardest part of the competition still lies ahead of us, exists ahead of us. So the past form of lie is lay. We have another verb, irregular verb, lay, laid, laid. To put something in especially a flat or horizontal position, usually carefully or for a particular purpose. She laid the baby on the bed, one example. He laid the tray down on the table. But here you have to recollect the combinations. This verb, lay, laid, laid, goes with babies, things, rules and regulations, eggs, roads, foundation stone. All these you have to remember. And tomorrow I'm going to get the regular exercise related to vocabulary. But today's vocabulary as an exercise tomorrow so that you can test your memory to what extent you remember. That's all for today. Thanks for being with me. Have a nice day. And do remember to subscribe.